There we
I
go.
I am hearing you if that matters and seeing you.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about Zoom has this feature to YouTube to stream to YouTube. Oops, I'm gonna wait another minute for people to join. Sorry about that. I think when I started the YouTube live stream, it reset the meeting. Just gonna give one more minute for people to join. We'll start at 2:04 Eastern, 11:04 Pacific. All right. It's like it's just us for now. I'm gonna get started. So for those watching the stream that have never used Pipedream before, we are an integrations platform that's specifically tailored for developers to connect APIs together. We support thousands of APIs out of the box, and we can easily add integrations, usually within minutes. And we manage OAuth for you and API key management. And this allows you to use pre-built actions and then Node.js and Python code steps in between to leverage low code as well as code in your workflows and create API endpoints or automations very quickly. That is a gist of what Pipedream is. I'm going to share my screen here and start with our demo. Share. There we go. Okay, so Pipedream, you always start with a project. A project you can think of as like a GitHub repository where you can hold many workflows that work together for one business process. Additionally, you can also categorize them or organize them into folders. So in this example, we're going to create a scraper, a website scraper. It's going to be very simple to get started, kind of highlight how simple it is to create workflows that use code, as well as use AI to create code. So there's this website called Rust Belt Auctions that what it does is it tracks all of these estate sales in the Northeast Ohio area. That's where I'm from. And you can find all sorts of things, collectibles, lawnmowers, cars, all kinds of stuff. But what's really cool about it, it's kind of like eBay, but you pick up in person, so I have to worry about shipping charges. So for things that are really heavy, like gym equipment, weights, dumbbells, that kind of thing, this is a really cheap way to buy these. The problem is I don't want to monitor this website all the time for the newest deal. I want to search for what I'm interested in buying in, and then have it alert me, have a workflow alert me on Slack when these things are available to buy. So that's my goal. I want to take this website, search for dumbbell, and find this page and alert me whenever there's new dumbbells that I can buy because they actually kind of pricey. So we're going to say, we're going to scrape this website. We call this new workflow scrape. And we can do it on a timer. This is the trigger for the workflow. The most common trigger is a webhook, where you can have this triggered by Stripe or your API for your application. In this case, I'm just going to pick a timer. I want this thing to come every once in a while. So here's a custom interval on the right-hand side. I'm going to click this and say every hour, maybe I will trigger this workflow. And I generated a sample event, which is just a time, like this is just the time when the timer was, executed, the day, month, year, all that information you can use. In this case, it's not so important. And then what I can do is I can add additional steps to this workflow. And this next step is to actually go to this website, specifically here. You can see at the very end, there's a dumbbell query. That's part of my search query. I'm going to copy this URL. And I want this workflow to grab this web page. So I'm going to use an HTTP webhook trigger and send a GET request. And you can see here, you can use a no-code form that will create this HTTP request to this website, and it can add authorization, body. It's just a similar interface to Postman, and click test. And this kind of highlights how adding steps to workflows, how you develop them end to end. You will add a step, you'll configure it, you'll click test, and you can see the response within this exports tab. And this is the exact HTML that's coming from that website. It's exactly what we need. Great. So then we can use this response in other steps. So I'm going to create another step here. I'm going to use node because I want to extract those instances of the listings on this website and programmatically fetch them. So I'm going to run some node code, and I want to copy the path to this export. This data is referred to by a path. So copy the path. And the path looks like this. I have Vim mode on, so it's going to copy the last thing I deleted. So I copy the path from that step export. I paste it. You can see that there's this steps.get request, return value, and that references this GET request that we made to this web page. Now I could go through here and, well, I still need to go through. I still need to go and look at this HTML and understand, okay, there is an attribute called data listing ID right here. Hopefully you can see it. I'll make my screen a little bigger. This data listing ID is meaning this particular listing. So great. If there's this attribute, then I know that this is a listing. I'm going to grab that. But I don't remember off the top of my head how to use Node.js to grab elements from a web page. I don't do it that often. So we're going to use AI to do this for us. And to start, I just want this image. Just give me this simple image, and the ID would be great. So I will ask Pipedream, generate new code. I'll say from the HTML content in that steps. Let me check my clipboard history here. In that path to the HTML content, find all elements that have a attribute of, and then we have to find that data listing attribute that we just copied, and extract the image URL as well as the value of that listing ID. And we'll ask the Pipedream AI to generate this code for us. So this AI is specifically trained and aware of the Pipedream format to code steps, how there's a defined component, how to include a prop, and even how to use Node.js libraries like JSDOM. And JSDOM is just a nice library that will make it easy to traverse HTML and grab data. So I'm going to test this code. I know there's a slight issue with, it's pulling in the last code we had. I'm going to test it one more time. So just to summarize what this code is doing, it's going through the data. Just going to copy this again. test this again. But to summarize the code, it's going through the HTML content that's passed in as a prop, and then it will extract the elements. So you can see up here, this thing is called a prop, HTML content. And we want to pass in the HTML content from the step before. We can click test to actually test the step. Test the code. Great. So we have a listing. It worked. We can copy this value and we can see it right here. So we just made a new image, grab the image. Fantastic. Great. So now we have a listing ID and the image URL, and we can easily pipe this to Slack and notify us over Slack on a public channel when this item is available with our search query. So yeah, we would just simply click the channel ID. I have one called Pierce's Playground in the public Slack that I use for this kind of thing. And then we can select the data from the prior run. So I can just grab this image and then we can send it. And you can customize this text with Markdown, etc. And we can see we send a message to this channel. And we'll go back to the Pipedream users, and we will see under Pierce's Playground, it did send a picture of the dumbbells. We can customize this text to say, new item from your search query, dumbbells, and share a picture and share a link to that particular listing. I just wanted to show kind of like the basic end-to-end example of how to leverage AI, scheduled timer, our pre-built actions and code all in one kind of workflow end-to-end. So that kind of, this is the end of that. But you can kind of see how it's really simple to get to deploy, test, and then, test, and then see the results, and then finally click deploy to make it live. And now every single hour, it's going to make a GET request, and it will attempt to find more listings. As you could probably guess, if every hour it will resend a Slack message, because we're not any deduping here. It's not making sure that there's no memory involved. So that's where Pipedream data stores come in handy. So data stores are simple key value pairs that you can do, that you can create on the fly. So they're like little databases in a way. So Rust Belt auctions, we'll make a new data store. It's just for Rust Belt auctions. And we will add a key and a value. So we can simply add a key that's like scene listings maybe, so that we're not resending new listings to our Slack channel, or old Slack listings to our Slack channel all the time. So we just created a new data store. We added the new listings, and then the new listings array, scene listings array. And now we can use the data store app to actually retrieve records and look up records. So we just add a single record, an updated record from that data store Rust Belt auctions, and then select the key scene listings, and then add our value to it from the extracted data listing. This one, this ID. You have to spread the existing listing IDs, but you get the idea. This will give you a simple, easy way to add memory to a workflow or many workflows, and it's using the same common database. So that covers the end-to-end workflow plus data stores. There's some really interesting options with Pipedream because we abstract serverless technology. You can then use the settings here to add more memory on the fly to your workflow, increase the timeout if you're using if you're iterating over many records or it's a very data heavy workflow, you can increase the timeout or time available to process. You can even automatically retry on errors, limit concurrency, and then limit execution rate to control how fast your workflow runs, as well as abide by any rate limits on APIs. You can even eliminate cold starts. So serverless functions out of the box. The reason why they're so cheap and why they can scale is because the workers will be generated on demand based on traffic. So that means your Pipedream workflows can near infinitely scale. But the issue is the serverless platform will make them go cold to save on cost. So you can override that and instead define how many workers you want to keep warm. So that way they're not coming from a cold start, which can take a few minutes to recover from. And then last but not least, you can run within a VPC, which means that the workflow will run in this private network, and any outgoing IP address, any outgoing HTTP requests, will use the IP address of the VPC instead of any IP address within the network, which is random. This is really important for databases and for internal apps that have security, namely firewalls that block all IP addresses except for a known list of IP addresses. This way you can still connect securely to those internal apps or databases and provide a single IP address that's known and trusted. So that covers the workflow settings. Like I mentioned, these projects are organized like a GitHub repo because they can be synchronized to GitHub. So if you and your team need to synchronize your workflows together, have version control, have a git blame, commit history, all of those wonderful things that come with GitHub, you can sync GitHub with your Pipedream project. So you can just simply add your Pipedream account, create a repository, choose to make it private or public, and then that will allow you to add version control to this project. And there's even branching and git diffs before you make changes. So you can create new branches and merge them back in. And Pipedream handles deployment, etc. Event history. So Pipedream will give you a single pane of glass to view all of the events that are being processed by your workflows. You can filter by the status, which is really helpful. So if you only want to see errors, then you can check out the errors for your workflows, and you can filter by date and see the past hour, or even by the specific workflow by name. This is really, really helpful to see what's going on with errors. See here, I have a bug in one of my Reddit filters, so I need to check that out. But yeah, so this allows you to quickly monitor the performance of your workflows as well as check for errors. Let's go on to the pricing. We recently have changed our pricing. Now we have the basic tier down to $20 a month and includes 2,000 credits per month. And you can have up to 20 active workflows, which is great, and 10 connected accounts. The advanced and above plans, they do not have any limits on number of workflows or the number of connected accounts. That's purely for the basic plan. When it comes to the other features, like I mentioned, like the workflow settings, the GitHub sync, AI code gen, those things are included within the advanced and above. Save a couple of the workflow settings, such as the unique IP address for VPCs. And we've just now added custom domains for webhooks as well, and SAML. But otherwise, all of the features that I went through, those are all available in the advanced plan, where you can use AI to generate code. You can change the memory concurrency, the timeout for a workflow. It's all available here. There's really no other gates between the advanced and above whatsoever. When it comes to support, you can go to our support page. And here we list a few different places you can find support. We have a whole university course where you can learn the basics of Pipedream from start to finish. It's all free. You can request an integration that we don't currently support right here. And you can even connect with a partner that will help you with your project end to end. And then join our community on Slack, where we have thousands of Pipedream developers that are actively working on workflows together, getting help from each other, and staff, including myself, will jump in and help and give inspiration for building workflows. And then also you can submit a support ticket, but the priority does depend on your pricing. We will prioritize advanced and business over free or basic users. And that covers the support aspect. You can create your own private actions and private sources. You can deploy them right to your account. But then again, but all Pipedream sources, aka triggers, and actions are all open source, and they're available on our Pipedream repository here. And you can see the code yourself and modify as you need to. That covers my demo for today. I just wanted to open up the floor and see if I can answer any questions. Now we have some time left. I don't want to take the whole time talking. So if there's any questions about building workflows or Pipedream features, please feel free to ask. Happy to help.
Hey, Dylan.
Hi.
Can you tell me or tell us, you put in the ... and said something about spread. Was that something you were intending, or were you just simulating that you could add more to it later?
Okay. So a spread, I'll show you what I mean. So a spread, let me share my desktop again. All right, this is a good opportunity to go show the development mode for GitHub too. So I'll just call this branch spread. So by spread, I literally mean like the JavaScript ES6 spread operator. It's a syntax that allows you to take an array and then spread it to an argument that's like in three different, or like, spread it to an argument in three different, in this case, three different numbers. They would say 1, 2, 3 rather than an array containing 1, 2, 3. It's really helpful when you are changing the contents of an array. So for example, in our walkthrough, we were playing with the idea of not omitting that listing again if we've already seen it. So we'd have to get a records here. We'd have to get the record that was already in the database when we first started running this workflow, just to know which listings we've already seen before. So I'm waiting for my key to arrive here. It's a little slow. I think I called it scene listings. And I don't want to create a new record, but no. So this should return an array. And in this case, it's going to be an empty array because we've not actually stored anything in this database yet. So yeah, 0, no data yet. So say we go through this, we find a listing. So we'll test this again just to make sure we have a listing in the workflow to test against. Oh, I should probably test from the beginning, huh? Test up here. So now we get the HTML content. And then we go back down to our first step here. Test this again. So hopefully it finds, unless the dumbbell auction ended, I hope not. Great. So it did find the listing ID. So the next step would be to make sure, according to our database, have we seen this listing before? And if we haven't, then continue, right? So we would send the message to Slack, and then here we would need to update our data store to have that record in the data store. So that way, the next time this workflow runs, it's not going to send a Slack message again. So here we can update a record. We'd select our store. You'd select the key. Let's see if this is going to be faster. It's being slow today. Scene listings. The problem is, if we've seen other listings, right? The issue is going to be if I just straight up add in this path to this listing ID, it's going to overwrite any others what we've seen. It's only going to save the last one it's seen. So we need to combine the prior values with the new value. And the one way you can do that easily is through what's called a spread operator, where you can take, we got the results here. It's an empty path, empty array in this case, but here we can spread it, spread it. Let me get rid of this extra fluff here. And then add the latest listing ID that we've seen to the top. It's just a way of manipulating arrays to produce one array. Oh, I did it the wrong way. I need to do it the opposite. So this is an array, and I'm spreading it out inside. And it's just going to append the latest value on top. So just as kind of like to play around to show you how this might look in real life, we're going to add like a dummy value here. Oops. Data store. Here we go. So I'm going to edit this, and we're going to add one that's a dummy. It's called 11111. We know on future runs we want to keep that. This is just our ongoing database of scene listings. So we'll go back to our project here, and we'll test this whole thing. I should probably remove the other one, huh? Let's remove we want to keep 111, and this 2051 is one that we've seen before, or we will see in this example. We know there's a real list in the website right now that has that ID. So we're going to get the records. This time it should show that 111. We know that there is a listing with 205. It's going to send the Slack message, and at the very, very end, we want it to update the old records plus the new record. And so the spread operator will take the old records, comma, and the new record, and it will allow us to append to the array and not overwrite it. And that's a long answer, but that's what I mean by a spread operator in there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yep. Any other questions about Pipedream that I can help answer? Alrighty.
How close to Canton are you?
I grew up about 20 minutes outside of Canton.
Oh yeah.
Right now I'm about an hour and a half away.
That's where I live, Canton.
Oh, okay, cool. I grew up in Alliance.
I live in Louisville.
Oh, no way. So I tell people Alliance, but I grew up in Marlboro.
Get out of here. I could walk there. Okay, I don't want to monopolize here.
Well, thanks for joining. I'm going to close this one out, but yeah, thanks for your time, and hope you have a good one.